because there were several people that asked me to record it. If you have any questions, honestly, feel free to interrupt and chime in, but we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to first share my screen, and you should be able to see my my screen at this point. And so to get going, what I wanted to start with, because I see so much information on social media, that I wanted to basically explain to you first how Solterra operates. So we have an HOA. The HOA is essentially responsible for not much. They're responsible for trash and landscape and aesthetic improvement for single family homes. So if you own a single family home and you want to add landscaping to your backyard, you have to submit a proposal and a fee to the HOA. That is all that they are responsible for. They are not responsible for snow shoveling, the retreat, the pool, nothing. It's trash and basically aesthetics of single family homes. Now the Metro District is composed of 3 districts. We have District 1. Sorry, more people are trying to enter, so I have to manage that as well. The Metro District is composed of 3 districts. District 1 has 0 homes in it. 0 homes, and it's a parcel of land up to the northwest area of Solterra, kind of west of the retreat, and it's 100 foot by 100 foot. It's more symbolic more than anything. However, Metro District 1 is the spending arm of Solterra, of Fossil Ridge, meaning District 2, which is more northeast of us, a ton of single family homes where John Henderson lives. John pays into the Fossil Ridge Metro District with his quarterly dues. He pays that to Metro District 1, same as us in District 3. So District 3 is composed of some single family homes and all of the townhomes. So we're in District 3. The Metro District, for what it's worth, is also composed of several committees: the Finance Committee, the Retreat and Pool Committee, the Landscape Committee, and the Social Committee. Okay, any questions on that? It's pretty basic, but to understand Solterra, I think it's clear to differentiate the Homeowners Association from Metro District. I should mention that each district is composed of resident elected board members. Okay, next slide. If I can get it to up where now it's coming along. Okay, so now we're going to get into the fee structure that we are kind of debating with the Metro District. Everybody pays $180 annual HOA due. Again, that is for trash and landscaping aesthetics. Everybody also pays $350 quarterly or $1,400 annually, which includes a new fee in 2020, which is an $80 quarterly capital improvement fee. Everybody pays that. It doesn't matter if your house is as small as a townhome or as big as the biggest house in the community of Solterra. Everybody pays that due precisely. Everybody has different taxes, but everybody pays the same amount. Okay, now you get into the townhome maintenance fee, or the MFAs, maintenance fee, basically filing. So within the townhomes, there are 3 MFAs. There's 15, which I live in. There is 16 North, and there is 16 South. All of us have different fee structures. And what I put in here is the proposed fee structure for 15, which is me, $55 standard or $120 enhanced, and then I show you the annual cost. 16 North would be $70 or $170 for enhanced, and then 16 South is $74 or $229 enhanced. Now, many of you commented to me on Nextdoor saying we should have this meeting prior to the vote that they're putting us up against for townhome maintenance fee. In my opinion, it doesn't matter, because what is stated in the townhome maintenance fee proposal is essentially illegal, and we'll get to that. What I'm showing you now is the Jefferson County filing agreement. And I don't want to, I will read it to you, although I don't want to. Essentially what it says is, it says the city of Lakewood agreed to this terms. And it says, the city of Lakewood is actually granted access to the Fossil Ridge Metro District property to perform certain duties, including maintenance and replacement of all interceptor drains and under drains, all irrigation, landscaping, vegetations, or improvements that is the responsibility of Fossil Ridge Metro District 1, the spending arm of our Metro District. It goes on to say, in the event that the maintenance is not performed by Fossil Ridge, the city of Lakewood has the right and will enter the Metro District property and perform necessary work and bill the cost to the Metro District, not to the townhomes, to the Metro District. And what I've shown you here in this image is where I live. This is Alex's home. This is my home. And these are tracts. Tract C. This is another tract. And basically what I've done here is I've highlighted the Metro District property. And you can see right here, 20 foot, and you can see right here, 29 foot. Those measurements are very important for you to remember. That is Metro District property. You can think of this red and this blue area as if you're standing dead center of the retreat pool or dead center of the retreat building. We, as townhome owners, do not own this property. If we did, I've already argued to the Metro District Board that I'd probably patio this part off and add a hot tub and some other things that my wife and I would really like to enjoy. We just don't own it. So we can't be responsible for it. But what it does mean is that this area highlighted, which is the front of our townhomes and the rear of our townhomes, is as much my property as it is John Henderson's, who's up in District 2, as much as it is anybody in the community. It is their property, not ours. Okay. Here is what we just voted on. I didn't vote because I felt that the vote was irrelevant and it didn't matter. And it says, we are supposed to vote on these two things. Standard services. For me, in 15, it says $55. Will include snow removal from the Fossil Ridge Metro District owned alleys and driveways. They're trying to apply townhome maintenance fees to Fossil Ridge owned areas. Can't do that. Furthermore, they say if you want the enhanced fee, we can do that and you'll get all of these services, including additional services, meaning they will shovel snow from the Fossil Ridge property at a 2 to 4 inch threshold rather than an 8-inch threshold. They cannot do that. Our townhome maintenance fees can only be applied to in-plot maintenance, meaning the area that is on our deeds of our property ownership. We don't own the Metro District property. So that's why the vote doesn't matter. So whenever they count the votes and they say, hey, you guys voted unanimously for the enhanced services, there's a problem because they cannot apply townhome fees or charge us in proximity to where we live for Fossil Ridge property. If they did that, we could easily argue that live next to the retreat should pay more because they live closer. The people that live along the green space that runs up the center of Solterra should pay more because they have access to that. They cannot bill us due to proximity. This is filing 15. This is filing 16. It's the same verbiage. As I point out here, townhome maintenance fees cannot be used for Fossil Ridge Metro District property. 16 South, same verbiage. Townhome maintenance fees cannot be applied. So if our townhome maintenance fees cannot be applied to Fossil Ridge Metro District property, what can it be applied to? It can be applied to townhome in-plot maintenance. So what is considered in-plot? Pardon my son's Lightning McQueen shoes. I walked outside of the front of my house and I measured. I'm going to go back a couple slides and show you something. Here, 20 foot. This is the front of my house, 20 foot and 29 foot. That is Metro District property. That is the guidelines and the boundary. Again, Jefferson County filings approved by the city of Lakewood. I measure out 20 foot from the step of my neighbor's first step to my step. And all of the area in red that you see there, I do not own, therefore I am not required to maintenance. Everybody in the community is required to chip in and pay for this. This is our Metro District fees, not our townhome fees. So what am I required to pay for is this green area. Now, again, I measured all the way to the foot of the stairs, but if I'm splitting costs between my neighbor, what does it really cost? And I only put my foot in there, it's kind of gross, but I added it for scale. So between my house and my neighbor's house, there's 21 inches of space split between two owners. So my fees on a monthly basis, the proposed 220 or 480 increase in fees will ensure that 10.5 inches will be shoveled. 10.5 inches. And they're saying that we're coming up to a shortfall. 10.5 inches. That's not even one shovel scoop of snow. So let's talk about not snow, let's talk about plants. So again, my son is sitting all the way up against the wall with the measuring tape, and I measure it down here. You can't see where it ends, so I put a little rock there at 20 foot. So what does our maintenance cover? Well, it covers a lot of rocks, which between you and me, I'm not sure how much rock needs maintenance. I don't know that you water it. You don't do a whole lot with rock. You know, there's a couple of dead plants that you might have to maintenance. Obviously, they're not maintaining that. But between two owners, there are 2 living plants that need maintenance. Again, you know, you have owners in filing 16 South and 16 North. They're proposing a $229 fee structure. It doesn't matter. We are not tapping out of our funds, not even anywhere close. So I'll pause there, and I'm going to turn it over to Alex. So basically, I kind of used the joke here, but this means that $220 standard fee or $480 enhanced will ensure that 2 of the 4 living plants on the townhome plots will be maintenance. And again, the expense of these plants to be originally planted was not an expense that the Metro District took on. Cardell, the builder, planted those. They had the expense of those. And so there is no upfront expense. You know, they're trimming those plants one time a year. If you notice, 2 weeks ago, they came along and they sprayed chemicals on all of the grass on Wesley, the whole length. They did not spend any time maintaining the Fossil Ridge property that's up and down this walkway. None at all. So not only are they not using the townhome funds for maintenance, they're not even using Fossil Ridge funds for maintenance. I'm going to turn it over to Alex Yufa, who has done a heck of a lot of research on this. And we're going to go into a little bit more detail on, you know, how we're determining this. So let me make Alex the host, and he's going to share his screen. Alex, you are now the host.
Hi, let me share my screen with you. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, let me share the screen.
I got to stop sharing, Alex, and allow you. Okay, now you're the host, and you should.
Yep, I think I'm good now. You guys see that?
We got you now.
So let me just show a few more pictures of what land the district owns and what land we own. So you see this is in front of townhouses, is 20 feet track C. And the effective maintenance area that we pay for landscaping is this 2.5 feet. In my case, in my neighbor's case is actually less because they have this planter box. Okay, a couple more images. Typical driveway. This is typical for townhouses. All this area in red, it is district land. It's 29 feet across. And where the 2 individuals are standing, that's the in-plot area that they plow or remove snow from that we pay. Strictly speaking, this land where this individual is standing is the property of this townhouse. Same thing for this. So that's something we pay extra for. And I live in the emergency vehicle access area, and our driveways are much a bit wider, so emergency crew can get in and out. So the 29 feet is all of this area and about 1/3 of my driveway. Everything below where this individual is sitting and majority of the cars parked, that is my property. That is what I pay the extra fee to have it shoveled, not this big area here. Now let's talk about the money. So
Hey, Alex, not to interrupt you, before we start, I think before we get into the breakdown of how they feed, does anybody have any questions on how we're, where we're getting this, the pictures, the work that you're seeing? Are there any questions about that before we move on to expense? No questions. You guys are easy. So Alex, before you start, just to cannot spend townhome maintenance on Fossil Ridge property. So that 29 foot, the 20 foot, not a penny of that can be used on that property.
The implant cost is the cost of removal or landscaping on the property that you as a townhouse owner owns. So the way they do, the way they calculate the cost for us for that little portion, and the reason for the confusion is there's no clear separation where district property ends and our property begins. And the contractors to remove snow or plant grass just don't know. So Cordell, when they designed it, decides like, well, we'll just charge the townhouse owners a nominal fee for this little extra foot or two. So the landscaping fee, the breakdown is like this. The landscaping fee that district gets billed is for all of the tracks, including in-plat areas, because the landscaping personnel does not know when the district property ends and where our property begins. So the total bill is around $13K. The district effective breakdown that they used, and I don't know what kind of justification they came up with, but they decided that of that 13K roughly,
Alex, we lost you. 1 second, let's get out. Hey, Alex. All right, looks like Alex lost. He might jump back in. I'll pick up where he left off, and Alex has been in contact with that dog. I have a dog as well, so I'm not that annoyed, but
Sorry.
Alex, are you there? I know. Okay. Okay. Basically, where Alex is getting into that breakdown, we'll Alex once he comes back on. Basically, Alex emailed a board member and asked them how they're coming to, how they're coming to this estimate or how much cost is, because what they're telling me they're not able to do is they're not able to say like, they have people that come out and shovel, and they're not able to say like when, drawing a little map because it's easier for me to articulate. They're not able to tell us when they're on townhome maintenance and they're working on hourly versus when they jump the line to cover Fossil Ridge. And so they have one crew that comes out and they're shoveling, and it's like they don't really know when they're shoveling townhome or when they're shoveling Metro District. So instead of trying to figure that out, they just applied some equation, and their equation states that, hey, Alex, are you there? Anyways, he has the files. Their equation states something like that the maintenance of landscaping is 40% townhome, 60% Fossil Ridge. But as you saw from our picture, like no trees on the property. There's no grass on the property. There are a couple shrubs and some rocks that they don't maintenance. And so the breakdown is more like 10% landscaping costs. And the argument is not our job as residents to try to figure out where, when and where whose dime they're working on, but rather that they're just wanting to apply it to the townhomes and make it a townhome expense. I take issue with that for a couple of reasons. When you look at, I'm going to share my screen really quick. When you look at structure, everybody pays the 350 quarterly. Everybody, regardless of Alex Youth is trying to get back in. Okay, so one thing you have to consider is that 1, 2, 3, 4 paying customers right here. If you apply the same lot size of these 4 homes, yeah, we got you, Alex. I'll ping you back in just a second.
Okay.
If you look at the lot size of the townhome and compare that to District 2 and other areas in District 3, we're on a 3-to-1, 4-to-1, and 5-to-1 paying customer ratio. And so in my opinion, we're one hell of a good funding arm for the Metro District. But when it comes to covering our expenses, we're kind of redhead stepchildren. And it doesn't matter what my opinion is on that. They have a legal obligation per the County of Jefferson and the City of Lakewood. If they don't want to perform these duties, they don't have to. But we can have the City of Lakewood do it, and they will bill Fossil Ridge Metro District 1 and not the townhouse. Alex, I'm going to let you pick up where you left off. I'm going to stop my sharing and make you the host again. Can you share now, Alex?
Not yet.
Okay. All right, now you're the host. I was trying to give them the breakdown on what the board told you, how they come up with a percentage of landscape versus snow. I'll let you articulate that better than I could.
Sorry, I lost connection. So the landscaping portion, the district decided they're going to pay 58%, and the townhouse owners for their foot or so of land for landscaping are going to pay 42. If you do this calculation based on area, and remember that our area is mostly rocks. We don't have any trees in our area.
No grass.
Or grass. We have a few plants. So most of them are dead anyway, but regardless, I assume they're going to be at some point in time. We have some dead plants and rocks. But if you go based on just the area, it's actually less than, but it's let's say 5%, just to be fair. So we should be paying out of this 13K that the landscaping company charged District 1, we should be paying 5%, not 42%. Now the snow removal. Snow removal is a little bit more complicated. The district, again, gets an aggregate bill for the tracks and including our in-plot area. For whatever reason, they decided that 90% of the hand shovel should be paid by us, the townhouse owners. They also charge us 60% for the ice melt and etc. So regardless how they break down the details, the overall bill for this is one of the years, I think this last year or the year before, the overall bill for what they're calling in-plot, which includes their tracks and our little in-plot areas, was 18K. They decided it was fair for them to pay 26% of that $18,000, and the rest, 74%, was the townhouse owners were going to pay. Again, if you just look at the areas, the in-plot area versus all the tracks that the snow company removes from, ours is about 10%, and that's being generous. That's rounding up. So again, we should be paying 10% of the $18,000. Now, the last part of snow removal. There's also snow removal of the alleyway. That's where you saw the emergency vehicles enter. Now, they decided this is all district-owned property. They decided they're going to pay zero cost. And we're going to pay 100 cost of that because it's on the way to our driveway. I don't know why, actually. Of course, the fair townhouse portion of this, based on area, because this is zero area for us, is 0%. This is not our land. This is district's land. That's their problem, not ours. If they choose not to service that area, Lakewood will, and they already agreed that District 1 will pay for it, whatever Lakewood bills them. That is in their filing agreement, and I'll show you where you can find most of those documents. So, what do we want? We just want a fair proportional allocation. We want 5% for in-plant landscaping, 10% for in-plant snow removal. And if you take those percentages for the year we looked at, which is 19 or 20, I can't remember, that comes out to about $2,500 for filing 15. Now, I didn't do this calculation for filing 16 because I will show you 16 is a lot more complicated.
And I have a comment on that, Alex, about 16 as well.
North and south and all this stuff. Anyhow, you take the $2,500 for filing 15, there's 40-some townhouse, you divide that ends up being roughly $60 per year per townhouse. That is $15 per quarter. They have, for the last 3 years, they have been charging us $25 per month or $75 per quarter. That means we have overpaid in the last 3 years. I'm the original owner of this crap hole. In the last 3 years, I was overcharged $720. So we would like to have that $720 back, as well as interest over this years, of course. If you're interested in where all this information came from, I have set up a webpage with documents. You can read them for yourself and decide. Feel free to contact me. So let me just quickly look at the webpage.
Hey, Alex, while you're doing that, pulling that up on it. Oh, that was quick. Never mind.
Webpage?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is board members for District 3. Email and bug them. There are government representatives. This is District 1. 2 of the board members in District 1 are also board members in District 3, Craig and Mike. Mike is also the chief financial guy. Email him, bug him, because they need to fix this. Now, if you need legal documents from the district, you file this form. You just send this form to this guy, Duke, and you will get your documents. And the sample how to fill out this form is right here. It's really easy. Presentations and in the news regarding this issue are listed here. Now, filing document for 15 where I live. This is, I'll just bring it up. This is the filing with Lakewood, where in great detail here it describes who's responsible for what. And here's a great detailed map showing where your property starts and where your property ends, and who owns the property nearby. Okay?
So Alex, let me pause you there real quick because both Karen and Deb have made a comment on meeting with the board and what their comments back to them were. And I can agree with the comment because yesterday I spent over an hour with 2 board members going through these measurements, showing them, and again, not us against them. I want to keep it very cordial because we're not going to get anywhere with doing otherwise, I think, at this point. Their argument, I refuted all of their debates and saying, no, I look at this and look at this, here's the document. And honestly, the way we left the meeting was their last stand argument was, this is a service that we do not have to provide, and that is why we're charging you. The city of Lakewood and the county of Jefferson says otherwise, and that's all that matters. We're showing you the filings here. These were the filings that they agreed upon to develop the land that we sit on. It's going to come down to opinion or interpretation of the law. The fact is they cannot apply townhome maintenance to fossil rich property. And their last argument was they feel that they're providing a service that they don't have to. Unfortunately, the city of Lakewood and county of Jefferson said they do. And if they don't perform it, they will, and they will bill fossil rich. These aren't documents. I mean, this isn't a matter of my opinion or Alex's opinion. These are documents that Alex has pulled from the county. it's pretty black and white.
Am I back, Nick?
Yep, you're back, Alex.
So that's the filing 15 with Lakewood. Now the mutual easement agreement between Cardell and the former Fossil Ridge Metro District. That's filing 15 easement. It goes in great detail, and it takes a while to load because it goes in great detail, including the AC units, because part of the AC units that belong to your townhouse are actually on their property. So there needs to be an agreement, and it goes great detail, including little things like AC units and everything else, who owns what, who is responsible for what, and etc. I have pretty much all the easement agreements for filing 15. We all have one, but they're all this. Everyone is filing 15. The easement agreement is identical. Now, filing 16 is a little bit more complicated. So the district refers to filing 16 north and filing 16 south. There's no such thing. It does not exist. There's only one filing with Lakewood, and it's called filing 16.
Mm-hmm.
It consists of the original filing 16 document, which is unlike filing 15, which is 2 pages long. This is 10 pages long. And here's it is in its great entirety, including all the maps, where everyone lives, who owns the land, and etc. And then Cardell had to do an adjustment, because apparently there was some back and forth with Lakewood. And the adjustment is here, and it's only 4 pages long, and you can look at it as well. Now, as far as the easement agreement, I don't have all the easement agreements for every single townhouse in filing 16. I have one example of an easement agreement for filing 16, and this example is located in the north, i.e. the part that's adjacent to filing 15. And this agreement is pretty much the same as filing 15 agreement, except the planter box. One of us has a planter box per townhouse block. Usually it's the internal one of the internal townhouses. And filing 15 either services the planter box or doesn't, and filing 16 is the flip. That's at least for the north end.
So Alex, while you're talking about filing 16, I will point one thing out that is massive in my opinion. Filing 16, well actually, filing 15 and 16, so where we live, we are not officially, legally a part of Fossil Ridge Metro District today. Our filings have not been accepted into the Metro District because there's certain things that Cardell, the developer, has to fix before Fossil Ridge will accept us.
15,
and so
15 was accepted.
No, it wasn't. I talked to the board members yesterday on it. I thought it was. It was not accepted yet. They told me that yesterday.
Okay.
What that means, and what I know for a fact, is filing 16, the folks that live in filing 16, you've been paying a monthly fee for townhome maintenance since you've lived there. Brookfield, the developer, has been conducting all landscaping, all snow removal, all townhome maintenance costs on their dime. And so every resident in 16, you've been paying in, and you have not been a drain on the funds. And so there should be a surplus in 16 because you've been paying, and Brookfield has been performing the duties on their dime.
That's all I had, Nick. And I just encourage everyone to reach out and not let this issue drop because. So,
Alex, here's what. So basically, here's where we need to, a couple of things have come up. I've been invited to some meetings with the board. They've pitched some things to me which have been awful ideas. One of which is, why don't you guys form your own HOA in the townhomes? Terrible idea. And I'll tell you why it's a terrible idea. We live in a community protected by 1,500 homes. Not only townhomes, we protect the retreat. If there becomes an expense, say a water pipe burst, it becomes the expense of 1,500 residents rather than the 144 townhomes. Now, I can tell you this much. There is a ton of concrete that needs repaired. That's part of the hang up as to why 15 and 16 have not been accepted into the district at this time. Tons of concrete. I don't know if you've walked out your door lately and looked around the community. They're starting to address it. Are they addressing it in the townhomes yet? Again, they kind of view us as a redheaded stepchild, but we're a really good funding arm because we pay the same amount of fees as the biggest house in this community. And so when they ask you, do you want to form your own HOA in the townhomes? There's no benefit. If the concrete eventually fails, it doesn't become the expense of 1,500 community members. It becomes the expense of 144 townhomes. Terrible idea. So that's another separate topic as a tangent. But the vote that we did this week, or that I didn't do, is irrelevant.
For the
And the
record,
board member.
for the record, I did not vote either because I don't want people to see me as arguing for one side or the other.
No, it doesn't matter because it's irrelevant. So at this point, I think, I mean, Alex, he's mentioned reimbursement. I don't even know. I mean, you can ask for your money back, but at this point, they've kicked the hornet's nest one too many times, in my opinion. They can leave the fee at $25 a month, and I'll walk away, and they just better keep shoveling and maintaining my dead shrubs. I do know that we have about 150 townhome residents. I do know that $100 per resident would go a hell of a long way for a class action attorney to write one simple letter to say cease and desist raising fees. And I can tell you this much: the Metro District Board does not, us, the community, Fossil Ridge, does not have the money to go into litigation on another piece of legal. They're dealing with enough. I know that for a fact. And so they can keep pushing this agenda. They are on the wrong side. Jeffco, City of Lakewood says so. And so I'm willing to pitch in $100. We can put it in a GoFundMe or put it somewhere. And I mean, hell, $100 is less than the fees that they're planning on charging every home. Everybody pitches in $100. That's $15,000. I think we could find an attorney to write a letter saying cease and desist or else. Open for discussion at this point. Anybody? Nothing?
Nick, this is Deb Corzin.
Hey,
And
Deb.
if you don't know already, I'm the HOA president. And
Okay.
I am very upset over the snow plowing and the fact that first of all, I think they do a terrible job, but the document that Alex had shown in regards to the maintenance, in there it spells out very clearly that the Fossil Ridge is in charge of the snow plowing. And when I met with the two of the board members from the Metro District, they kept coming back and saying, well, 80% of the people don't have it plowed. And I kept trying to reel them back in and say, we're not talking about the larger population. We're talking about the maintenance fee area and the fees that we're paying. And they were very adamant about that, how disappointed we will be if we go with the 8-inch snow plowing. And there's a group of us already in 16 South, because I live in 16 South, that are talking about, what would it cost us to get an attorney? So, I mean, I can't vouch for everybody in our area, but I know there's a number of people that would probably be very interested in getting together with an attorney, provided it's not cost prohibitive. And it's from what you're saying, it would not be.
Well, and I agree. You know what? When I look at 16 South, my heart goes out to you because I look at my fees per year living in a townhome. And if I look at the fee breakdown that I showed each of you, I pay about if the cheapest one is the cheaper side, the standard fee, it's about $176 a month on top of what are already insane taxes. And so eventually if you go to sell your house, I mean, I look at Zillow all the time. Hell, what are you going to say to a potential buyer of a townhome when you have to tell them on top of these crazy taxes, you have essentially $80 on top of, I can tell you what it costs if I put my house where it's at versus if I move it across the street outside of the Metro District, which would be on the other side of McIntyre. And it would be about, just in property taxes, it'd be about $280 a month cheaper. And you add in $176 fees for Metro District, townhome, capital improvement, HOA. It's getting out of hand. And, they keep bumping it up from $25 to this and that. And what they're trying to do, in my opinion, is they're trying to silo people. And if they silo us, we will lose. But if everybody gets on board, and I'm not saying pitchforks, burning shit down, I'm just saying we all get together and say, we've had it, and I guarantee you a letter from a attorney that understands this, maybe John can help us. This is going to bed pretty damn quick. I'm not an attorney, but I feel pretty adamant about that.
Can we have everyone that's on the call and everyone that knows people that are being interested in this, can they send me their email address, me or Nick? So as we move forward with this issue, we have a group of people to contact.
So again, I just want to, when I wrapped up yesterday with the board members, I sincerely was appreciative of their time. I manage, I'm the president of an HOA downtown. I have another property in the city that I manage. It's a pain in the ass. I've taken days off of work. I've got 2 boys that I'm trying to keep from killing me and their mom at any given hour of the day. I got my own job. It's a pain in the neck. So I appreciate it, but it's becoming us against them, and it shouldn't be that way. When I show them the 29 foot, the 20 foot, the percentages, I feel like they're looking for loopholes rather than being residents within a community. They're trying to find loopholes to disprove that, to make us pay more, rather than make the entire community pay. If the fees have to increase on Metro District property, you got to increase them. There's no debating that. But you can't increase due to proximity. They can't say, vote on enhanced services and we'll shovel 4 inches instead of 8, and you guys are going to pay for it. That doesn't work. That's illegal. That's what this boils down to. John, did I misinterpret anything? Can we have free legal advice prepaid?
Well, great presentation, Nick and Alex, and congratulations to you guys on doing an incredible amount of work. Let me just add a couple of observations and then some context. First of all, it really isn't terribly important to this discussion, but District 1, which was basically 10 square feet of unoccupied land, now does have, I think it's around 48 residents that opted in the district. So technically there are people whose homes are part of that district, and if there were any actions against District 1, they would be concerned about that. So there are people who live in it, and that's, for your purposes, that's actually a good thing, because they should be particularly interested in this issue, because it may cost them some money. But what I want to do is, just for a moment, is put a little context on this and how it happened. I forget when it was over a year or 2 ago, when I was attending the meetings regularly. I was there were probably only 2 or 3 other people. There was absolutely nobody from the townhomes there. And somebody started complaining about how they felt offended because they were paying for snow removal for the townhomes. And everybody there lived in District 2, and it was clear that some members of the board who lived in District 2 and who live in the patio home area where they do pay for snow removal were upset because they felt they were paying for the townhomes. And I made a comment at the time, and I said, well, there's no difference between the townhome property and the parking lot at the retreat, or the common area where the gulch is. I mean, what are you talking about? And it just kind of went away. And then it was last year when they first brought this up, that I blogged on it, and it was clear that this same group of board members living in District 2 were trying, in a very, I thought, less than transparent way, trying to shoehorn you all into paying for costs that belong to the district, and it's black and white. I mean, you're absolutely correct on this, on the law there and on the filing, and they know that. They've consulted with their attorney, and they know that legally, if this were to go that route, they're going to lose. And everything you said is absolutely right. They have the obligation to pay, and if they don't pay, then the city pays and they bill District 1. And that's why the people who opted into District 1 should be interested in this issue. So at any rate, anything I can do to help, I'd be happy to. As you may know, I'm retired from my work with the wonderful public defenders system here in Colorado.
I didn't know that, John. Congrats on that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Congrats.
So, yeah, thank you. So I'm kind of in a transition mode. I probably have a conflict of interest because I reside in District 2, even though I'll pay into your $100 fund to get somebody to help. Because honestly, as I've blogged on this is not a District 2 or a 3 or a 1. This is a district, this is a Solterra issue. And if we go down the road of trying to say, well, because, you know, I could very easily say, you know, it's going to cost over $2 million to take care of that gulch area. I don't live there. I don't go there. I don't even hike over there. Why should I pay into that money? That's your problem. If we go down
that was brought up yesterday, John. The board members mentioned that. They said, well, why would they up there want to pay when they don't walk out front like this courtyard area? They don't do this and that. And I said, well, we can't have that argument. I don't use the pool. I don't use the green space. It's exactly. We're a community with fees, or we aren't.
Exactly. I mean, those, you know, the entire community, Solterra is going to have to pay for that. They're probably going to end up issuing bonds or try to pay for that. And that's a Solterra issue. So we're all in this together. And I think, you know, my neighbors should feel just as strongly about this as you all do. And it's a small group of people, and they just happen to be part of the club that runs the board right now. And it's a small group of people, and they're the ones that, you know, just think this is the way it ought to be, and they're wrong. They're legally wrong, and they're wrong in principle, and I'll do anything I can to help you all.
It's interesting.
Thanks, John.
It's interesting what you said, John, about the snow, because what they told me and a couple other of my neighbors that went with me to visit the board is that when we mentioned about the snow removal in the alleys, where they said you're responsible for it, and they said that, you know, if you go with this 8-inch, if you go stay with the 8-inch snow removal, they said, well, eventually if the city of Lakewood has to come down and plow it, then it's going to be a responsibility of you guys, and then we'll have to give you guys a special assessment.
Nope.
Yeah, that's
right. You can look at the filings.
Right, and I argued that, and I brought the documentation, I brought the filings with me and everything, and it's like they just would not budge.
Yeah. Well,
I think they'll budge with some litigation. I mean, if it has to come to that. I think what they did, not to interrupt John, what they did is they tried to give it a vote, so it made us feel like we were deciding. They said, you guys vote on it. And you know what? You guys voted on it. It doesn't matter. And I asked him yesterday, I said, well, what the hell happens? So if we vote on standard, no one will pay more than $25 a month. You know, the highest was 16 South at $74 a quarter. So none of us go higher than that. But I said, what if enhanced gets passed? And frankly, I don't really have a dog in the fight. I have some neighbors that are a bit older that I would love to see the snow plowed because I know it's more difficult for them to get around. Either way, if enhanced gets voted, we're all paying more, and they're going to try to apply that to everybody, which they cannot do. And so what they're doing is they're trying to pit neighbor for neighbor and saying, well, Alex, you wanted enhanced, and now I got to pay for it. And I wanted standard because I'm broke, and I don't want to pay. And so that's just all peripheral. You know, it doesn't matter. If we want to go with enhanced, we can do that, but they got to charge the community. It's not our fee.
Yeah, no, there's no question. And in terms of what's next, let me just throw a couple things out there. One is The city has a stake in this because if it's not done, they're going to have to do it. And, you know, we're talking about snow removal, safety, people falling on the ice, getting out of their area to get to work, to get to the hospital. This is a safety issue with the city. And under the Metro District statutes, the city still has oversight on these special districts. So they could call this board in front of them and say, what the hell are you guys think you're doing? Either take care of this or not. And if you're not, then we'll do it and we're going to bill you. So at any rate, another thing to
yeah, John, another thing to consider, part of the standard, what they mentioned yesterday, I think it's critical, is that the snow removal inches is per storm. And so if we set it at standard, which they don't plow until 8, if it snows 7 inches, they don't plow. If the next day it snows 6 inches, they still do not plow. If the next day it snows 7 inches, they still do not plow. We potentially could have 3 foot of snow that they're not going to plow because it is snow per storm. It's not gross accumulation.
Right.
It's utter BS. Frankly, they're wrong. And it just might take us saying, here's a letter from an attorney. I don't know how much that would cost, John. You probably have a better idea. 15 grand would do the trick. I happen to think a scary letter would do the trick for me.
I think any reasonable attorney, you know, a letter like that would be, you know, after spending about an hour talking about it, would probably be less than $1,000, between $500 and $1,000.
Can we agree to use the excess funds for a townhome party and not invite anybody not in the townhomes? John, of course, you're invited.
Right. But here, I mean, I think honestly, I think it's come to that because they tried to play the game last year. And at the end of that session, I walked away from that last meeting thinking that they were going to own up to their obligations. Now they're trying again, as I said in my blog, trying to get in through the side door, what they couldn't get in through the back door last year. So they're not done, even though I'm sure their attorney's counseling them otherwise. So I think you are at a point where you're going to have to ratchet it up one notch. And Nick, you're absolutely right. I mean, this vote is like a kangaroo vote. I don't know what they think they're doing because you have no legal authority to vote on anything. It's not binding on anything. What they would have
That's why when people were asking me, I said it didn't matter. People were like, well, what shouldn't we talk before the vote? And I'm like, this vote is pixie dust. It doesn't matter.
What they're going to do at their next meeting is they're going to vote and they're going to say, well, because of how the townhome residents voted, we're going to pass a resolution or take a vote changing the fees, and we're going to do it this way. So yeah, that they're going to have to make that decision, and then that's when you can challenge it in court, because every decision they make is subject to review by a judge if they're not following the correct procedures in how they vote to tax and spend our money.
Yeah. So John, as a next step, because we're pulling up on an hour. Sorry, go ahead, John. Rizzo.
Could I just chime in real quick? So I'm kind of a numbers guy, and it's not likely we're going to get all 150 people in the townhomes to put money into this thing, right? So maybe we just need to find an attorney, see what we're up against, and then, you know, all those in favor, you know, throw in some money and cover it. But I do want to make sure that we don't lose sight of the fact that it's more than just snow removal, right? I mean, you brought up the whole concrete issue out there.
Well, concrete, John, that's a totally different topic.
I understand, but if we're going to do this, you're only going to be able, I think, do it once. And again, maybe under the advice of an attorney on how that all relates.
Well,
So I'll explain
What
to you
we
really
actually
quick
own and what we don't own, right? That's what I'm thinking.
well, this is Deb. When I met with
Go ahead,
the
Deb.
board members from FRMD, they agreed that the concrete and the maintenance of that, as far as like, if the concrete cracks and stuff, that FMRD is responsible for that. The only thing they're arguing about is who is responsible for the snow removal.
Oh, okay, well, that's great. I love that.
Yes, but John
Can
brings
I
up
get
a good
mine
topic.
replaced
and I think-
tomorrow?
So John, to answer your question and to let every other town know, because if you take a walk behind, there's a lot of concrete that needs replaced. So where you see the concrete being replaced around the community is Brookfield owned all the land. They sold the parcel where the townhomes are to Cardell to develop. So they sold it to a different developer. Now, Cardell built all the homes. They've done all the work. They put the landscaping in, everything per their agreement, and they're ready to turn this land over, the concrete, the trees. They're ready to turn it all over. Where a standard development says, hey, we'll do this, and you have to accept it within like a certain amount of time, 6 months, say. Well, the Metro District has not accepted it yet because there were some illegal proceedings going on where the former Fossil Ridge Board was composed of Brookfield residents. Anyways, it got really messy.
I remember that.
They were okay. So now Cardell's stance is, hey, we built this 2 to 3 years ago. You probably do have some dead trees and some bad concrete, but it's been in your possession for X amount of years, so we're not going to fix it. The Metro District is saying we're not accepting it until you fix it. And so they're trying to find some reasonable guidelines to accept it into the district. I would say if you have any concrete issues, it is a separate topic, but it needs addressed before it's accepted into the district, or else it is our problem and no longer Cardell's. And that's
So
up to our board
who are we
members to
sending an
negotiate.
email to about that?
Alex, you still have the slide up. Can you open your website to the board members?
Yep.
It's District 3 board members. You can email District 1 as well, because they're the spending arm. But District 3, District 1.
And John,
So while that's up,
jotting that information down, John, do you have the contacts in Lakewood or Jeffco who has the oversight over this special district?
Great question. The short answer is you want to talk to our Ward 4 representatives, Barb Franks and
Skilling.
Dave Skilling. Yeah. We're literally just beginning to talk about special district reform in front of the city of Lakewood and getting a structure in place to deal with these things. So there's no staffing, but clearly Franks and Skilling would be the people to go to.
Okay, maybe I'll reach out and see what can be done.
Yeah, and I think before we exit here, bring it back to John Rizzo's point and so what's been mentioned before. I think we have a good group here. We have about 20 people on. I don't know what the best way, I mean, obviously we all got to be trusting of each other, else we're going to get nowhere. But I mean, I think a good starting point, and I don't mind taking the lead on this, Alex. I don't know how motivated you are, but I think if we had a place to put some funds, I would start talking to an attorney. I would communicate with everybody, but I'm afraid that we're going to hang up on this phone call and we're just going to dissolve like they want us to. And the only way that we're going to get to the next step, I think, is with at least a firm letter stating legal action, upholding what we know the city and county of Jefferson already states. I don't know what that looks like. I will gladly hold your money and do with it what I feel is respectable. And whatever we spend, I'll divide up what's left over and give it back to you. But I think that we need to come away from this meeting with an action item. And if it means everybody coming to my door and dropping off a $100 bill, I will take it. I will take notes of it. I will manage the funds. I will speak with the attorneys. I will take lead on this, but I don't want to have this call, waste an hour of your Friday and not do anything with it.
Hey, Nick, do you have contact
Yes.
info for everyone on this call?
Kind of, but not really. Here's what we're going to do. Alex, give me your screen. Actually, just stop I'm going to share mine.
I'm gonna
Okay.
stop sharing mine.
Yep, I want everybody to please take my, you disabled screen sharing, Alex, hold on. Let me figure out how I can do this. One sec, please. Alex, you disabled my screen share.
We're gonna
I don't know how to get it
Venmo
back.
you, or how are we gonna give you the money?
No, I mean, we can Venmo, but, oh, here, I got screen share. I want everybody, first I want to get a gauge of who's interested. And if you want to Venmo me or drop off $100, I think that's a good starting point. I think that's pretty minimal skin in the game.
Hey,
This
Nick,
is my email address. Yes,
can you send this slide presentation to me?
would love
And
to.
we have a townhome group down here in 16 South that we have we have not a website, but a group meet. And we
Yep.
put a lot of stuff in there that relates to kind of our group down here. And I can put that out there and talk to as many people as I can to tell them that this is what we came up with in this meeting. And I can try to collect the money for you in 16 South if that'll help you out.
Okay, let me get my Venmo username really quick.
Okay.
I don't want to take anybody's money before you send me an email and say this is for that, because I have a gambling problem I haven't disclosed. I'm kidding, I don't.
But you have a
let
wife
me
that
sign
likes
in.
to spend money, I heard.
I got 2 kids that like to spend my money. Let me get my Venmo ID real quick. And it'll be, I don't know what my, gosh dang it. I got a new phone yesterday, and so I'm having to sign in. Okay, so my Venmo is,
Deborah, I'll post all the presentations on the website.
that's my Venmo, and it's sorry, I didn't mean to talk again.
You're
What was that,
breaking
Alex?
up. I will post the presentation, both Nick part 1 and mine, on the website, so everyone that's interested can download it.
Okay. And then where can I find the website again?
Oh, I'll
Alex, what is the URL? I'll just put it right here.
yep. Can I is there a way to text? Here, I'm gonna text you on your phone, dude.
Okay, so that's my, you can chat it, Alex. So that is, okay, here it is. Alex just sent me his website. So that is my email.
I just
This
chatted
is my
with your
Venmo.
website.
Okay. I will say that my Venmo, it's a picture of me in a blue shirt sitting on the side of a cliff. But again, I would love for you to email me before you send cash, because I want to make sure that I'm doing right by everybody. And if 150 people email me $100 and all of a sudden I have 15 grand extra in my bank account, yeah. So I say you need to at least talk. Everybody should go away from this and talk to a neighbor. We cannot be siloed. That's exactly what's going to kill the progression that we've made. And so you need to talk to your neighbors and let them know there is a legal obligation to uphold these fees. Now, whether the threshold is 8 inches, is 4 inches, we actually have very little bearing on that. What we do have bearing on is the fact that they have to do it. All right. Unless that's it, you guys are, I tell you what, I'll do you one better as well. One last thing I'll put on the screen is I'll throw up my, if you want to have a phone call, I'm always available. Or if you want to stop over with a Bud Light, even more so available. But there's my phone number. And that is that. I got a couple more chat, make sure I'm not missing any questions. Oh, you're welcome. Thanks, Karen. But yeah, okay, guys. I have recorded this. If you want me to share it, we can share it with your neighbors in 16 South as well.
Hey, Nick,
Yes, sir.
when we get off this call, send me your presentation and let's have this thing posted on YouTube, and I'll upload the link to the webpage so everything is in one place.
Oh, that's a great idea too, because in our group down here, I can actually post, give them the link for that, and I can give as much information as necessary.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, I'm just trying to keep everything somewhat organized.
Hey, John, I'll drop off a bottle of something or another for you if you have a good recommendation for a, I mean, hell, maybe we hire the former Metro District Attorney. What was her name that be fired? And see if she has some Spitfire left in her to bring it back. I forget her name.
I think she doesn't
I'm
answer
kidding.
my phone calls anymore.
Yeah, she doesn't like me either. I think I'm the only review for her on Google, and it's like, you're terrible.
No, don't go there.
I'm kidding.
I've got in my hand the card for a construction defect attorney in Golden that I talked to about Metro District issues. They're top notch, and what I'll do is I'll give them a call Monday to lay the groundwork, and then maybe we can set up a meeting.
I would love to. Next week, I'm out of the state. I am working from Ohio to deal with some family issues that I had over the past month. So, but I would love to be at that meeting. Everybody has our contact info right here. Let's talk. Let's keep the ball rolling. If we have to talk to an attorney, it's only because we've been pushed in that direction. Thanks, y'all. Have a great weekend.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks,
everyone.
guys.
bye, everybody.
Bye now.
You